I don't think I'm even subbed to you, Homestead. I'm definitely going to sub to you now. No question about that. Making a leather tobacco tray. I could see that. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to give you a shout out in my next video. No question about that. No question about that. So you guys, you must have been carving for quite some time, because you've only just recently joined by the looks of it, in terms of the YTPC intro. Thanks, Tim. It was something special. Hi, Miles, Andy, PA Piper. Ooh, tired. I'll tell you what, carving over with the left side, number one, is something I've never done before. But I've got muscles which obviously I haven't been using very much, which I'm starting to feel sore on my left side. This calls for a celebratory smoke, and I can't decide what to smoke. Oh dear me. Well, I think I'm going to have a little bit of nightcap. PA Piper, thank you. I can't. I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't nervous at times. I must be honest. That shank flying around at speed certainly had me nervous. Drilling for the first time had me nervous, and I can see that what the benefit would be with having a better quality drill bit. No question about that. But I tell you what, it is time consuming. Obviously, you know, with experience, it'll speed up. The briarwood, it depends what size you get really, but those were slightly, I suppose, a medium size. I think I bought those from, I think those ones came from Alexander Briars from Greece. They were probably around €5-6. Some of them are €20. It really depends on the quality. I bought a selection. I'm not sure which ones were which. I bought some which I paid €20 for, or even €30 for. You know, really nicer, bigger blocks, plateau blocks with nice grain. And some of them I bought bought about 8 from Vermont Freehand for about $3 or $4 each, and they're obviously very, very small blocks. You're telling me, Andy, you're telling me the amount of work that goes into it. You can understand what even boggles my mind even more, tenfold more, is how somebody like Blakemar Briars can then go and sell a pipe which is handmade for 20 quid, 30 quid. It's mind blowing. I don't know how anybody's gonna get out of bed for that kind of money when, okay, he does it, he's obviously able to do them very quickly. I mean, he has got machinery there which enables him to do things fast. I know, for instance, Jim Boswell has developed tools which allow him to literally, in a single stroke, carve a bowl. Literally. Drill it and do about half a dozen different tasks in one draw of the hand. But even so, you know, but when it comes to finishing the pipe, there's time there. So I don't understand how people could sell a pipe for $20 or $30 or pounds. I just don't get it. And even without doing all of that work, when I did the freehand ones, which is also very time consuming, a lot of sanding, a lot of sanding. I assume that's not going to change when it comes to finishing this pipe, because half of the pipe still has to be sanded down. You know, you've got to get the meat of it off and then sand it into a shape, you know, without spoiling that really nice cylindrical shape made by the lathe. And then I've got the stem. I haven't even touched the stem yet. Yeah, I did think about turning bowls. It certainly would seem to be more straightforward. But in terms of, I was actually thinking about it this afternoon. Doing a pipe rest, you want to have a little bit of a shape to it. Presumably that you just sand out afterwards, do you? Hi, Lord Doug. Yes, I am up late. I've just been on for about 3-4 hours, making my first, turning my first, drilling and turning my first pipe with the help of Homestead Soap Company. Well, I have to go to bed soon because my wife has decided that we're going out for the day tomorrow with the kids. Do you know what I find ridiculous? There are some people who, although I'm not a big thumbs up or thumbs down man, I don't really very often check for my thumbs up and thumbs down. But I've just the video that we just did of carving the pipe has just finished uploading and processing, and there's already a thumbs down on it. I mean, can you make sense of that? That's just ridiculous. And I know that I've got 2 or 3 regular thumbs downers, and I've got an idea of who they are actually. Ian Walker, yeah. I get 2 or 3 on every single video, no matter what it is. You know, I've had a few people message me and say, you know, based on the type of video that it was, there was nothing controversial, and how could anybody conceivably thumbs down it? And that tells me that there are 2 or 3 who religiously thumbs down no matter what I put out. But you get that. That's social media for you. I mean, I don't worry about it too much. I just think it's funny. I just think it's hilarious that people are that sad they've got nothing better to do. So, back to usual business. We are smoking Soren Refberg bent apple. Well, you could call this not an apple. What do we call this? A whiskey glass or something like that. With some Dunhill nightcap. Hector, you up early? Have you been to bed yet, Hector? No, this is Danish, Soren Refberg. It is a very, very nice looking pipe. I struggled to get a decent smoke out of it originally when I was smoking Virginias in it, but I moved over to Latakias and it's singing. There's something about nightcap. I've only just recently started smoking nightcap, and I don't know, it just feels like it's got some vanilla or something in there. Is there some flavouring in that? As usual, Hector, catching up with the bottom 95%. I guess it must be the Orientals and the Turkish interacting with the Latakia in Virginia. Bit Pariki looks like as well. This is some good tobacco. Got a really good flavour. Hey Pirate, how you doing? Actually, I think I'm going to rename the video that we did before. And I think I'm going to call it Carving a Pipe in Real Time. Carving a briar smoking pipe in real time. Well, without Homestead's help, it wouldn't have turned out at all, but, and turn being the operative word, but check out the last couple of minutes of the video and you'll see. I'm not there anymore, so I can't show it to you, and I've left it in the chuck, so I can't show it to you right now. I've refilled the coffee. No, I didn't turn off the thumbs up. I'll be honest with you, I have so little knowledge of YouTube's machinations and all the tweaking and settings. I really do very little with that, and everything's on, you know, everybody can see everything about my channel. I've got nothing to hide really. I was in two minds, Homestead, to bring it in, the Stummel, because thank you, Homestead, I appreciate that. It does help that I've done a little bit of time on the lathe. You know, I did spend time with a lot of different spindles and things like that, and made a couple of nice tampers. That definitely helps to feel natural. It's a tamper I made a couple of weeks back with a bit of Zebrano. And I got the lathe about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I've been playing around with it since. It's been just taken me so long to. I tried, as I mentioned, I tried to turn a briar block using regular jaws that you get together with the chuck, and I struggled with the centering of it, and it was a joke. I just couldn't do it. And so I've basically been doing a lot of research into getting the right chuck and into getting the right jaws, and I basically zeroed in on Vermont Freehand. Had a chat with him on email. He clearly hasn't got a lot of time because he's really concise with his answers, and I think that he probably assumed that I have some experience, but we got there in the end. So I got there in the end, but it took a fair bit of time. Even it took me quite a while to decide to buy a lathe, number one. And once I bought the lathe, I really didn't want to attempt anymore. I played with 1 or 2 blocks using the jaws that I had, and it just didn't work out. So I left it, and I just got practice on the lathe turning, just to get my hands, my wrists, my shoulders, my sides, my body generally used to how to behave and how to just get used to working with the lathe. But it's interesting, when I first started turning with the lathe and using the tools, after a couple of days I was getting sore, and then that slowly went, and as my sort of muscles in my hands and my wrists sort of built up a little bit, and learnt to keep rigid as I'm moving from side to side and all that kind of thing. And now, using turning the bowl, there's different muscles working, and especially when I switched hands to using left-handed, I can definitely feel the muscles under my left armpit on my left side. There's really, I can feel it. So it's like different stages, and I'm really quite pumped after tonight, because the truth is, when I missed, I'm right-handed, but I had to go left-handed for part of it because it was too close to the chuck. But when I finished with the air hole drill and appeared to be missing it, I really thought, it's not the end of the world. Look, it's the first block that you've attempted, the first drill that you've attempted, not the end of the world. But went down a little bit more, and hey presto, that was just a special moment, really. With that time on the lathe, I'm now thinking to myself that I should have got a metal lathe, because of the ability to be much more precise with the cutting tools. Daniel, yeah, I saw the question the first time, but I was just in mid-flow, sorry. I don't know. I may well have to rusticate it because there's quite a few sandpits. I noticed that on the shank there is quite a bit, but the shank I can actually trim down, and I'll miss those. But on the bowl itself there are a couple of pits as well, so it's just a matter of deciding if I live with a couple of. It really depends once I get the whole. It depends once I get the whole bowl shaped, and when I get a rough shape out, then I can see. And you can fill some pits, but I guess that's something I'll have to get familiar with as well. But I may end up having to rusticate it, we'll see. Oh yes, Hector. Absolutely. I hear that, Homestead, but think of it this way. For instance, when I was turning that, okay, experience will make me better, of course, but cheers, Jim. But for instance, cutting down the length of the shank, when you're turning the wheels on a metal lathe, you only have to turn it in one axis, and you know that you're going to be in a straight line. The question is, are you doing it in the end for art, or are you doing it for a romantic notion, or are you doing it ultimately to turn out good pipes and hopefully make some money? Yeah, I don't doubt that things will be easier with time and experience, no question about that. What I don't understand is, okay, it's all experience and skill, but drilling the air hole, the draft hole by hand, also is to be straight not to deviate, you know, and go through the side of the wall of the shank. Okay, I guess I have to try and see. Daniel, tonight was harder, but only because it's the first time and because I was kind of going blind. And without the assistance of Homestead, I just wouldn't have done it. Am I a perfectionist? Up to a point. I wouldn't want to turn out something, I certainly wouldn't want to give away or sell something which wasn't as it should be. That's certainly the case. I guess I am. I mean, when I buy pipes, I'm also quite fussy. But again, up to a point. I mean, I've got some pipes which have got sand pits in them, and I live with it just fine because sandpit is a sandpit. It's a natural occurrence, and it's not the carver's fault. It also depends what you pay. You know, if you buy a pipe by, I don't know, one of the top grade Knudsen or Tom Eltang or any of these kind of people, you buy a pipe, a smooth pipe from them, and you pay anything upwards of €1,000 or dollars or $5,000 or $10,000, and you find a sandpit in it, that you wouldn't be happy with. But if you're buying $100 or $150, you know, you have to expect that. I might have watched some of his actually, but I'll write it down in case I haven't. There are some amazing guys out there on YouTube. Yeah, Hector, absolutely. The blocks, they know what they're getting, although you can never tell what's going on inside. But they definitely, I mean, some of the grain on some of those blocks is just stupendous. And I would imagine that, I mean, most of these are Mimo blocks, the top ones, and I would imagine, I think these guys go down there and they spend a day there selecting briar. And for the very best ones, I'm sure they pay a lot of money for. So their investment is more considerable as well. Worth, is it spelled like that, Homestead, or is it worth the effort, or is it worth effort? I can't see a link. Did you type a link? Good night, Miles. Thanks very much. Worth Effort School of Woodworking. I don't know about Mears. It's possible that the rough shaping is, I'm not sure. Jimmy, that is the end of the turning process. Yeah, you can't turn it around and do the bottom because you got the shank in the way. And if you did, you'll chop off the shank. Is there no turning at all with Mears? So how did they get such a perfect round shape? Cheers, little dog. Yeah, I'm going to head off to bed soon as well. I'm just enjoying this bowl of nightcap. Yeah, but even so, even when they're wet and they are soft, how did they get them perfectly round like that? Although if they do it wet, they can just take a rag or whatever it is that they use and just keep going round and round, I guess. Yeah, I know what you're saying. They are. I have watched videos of people doing it, you know, just with knives, just carving it with knives. Rustication, at the moment I use a Dremel for rustication, Daniel. Actually, the two pipes that I carved, I haven't sent them off yet. These are the ones that I did freehand. Yeah, I've seen that documentary. These are the freehand pipes that I've made. So this rustication is done with a Dremel. And that's the other one. Hi Mike, thank you. I've got to stamp something on those. They're both sold, yeah, I'm afraid so. They're both 9mm and they're both sold. They literally sold immediately as soon as I put them up, which I was really delighted about. So there you got a couple of little sand pits, but nothing you can do about it. But considering it's really, that's all there is on the pipe, the rest of it is immaculate. This one I sold for $120 plus shipping, I think it was. Maybe it was $140, maybe $140 I think that one was. And I think this one was $120 or $110, something like that. You know, I couldn't really charge more, being first pipes. They're not perfect. But there's no reason why they shouldn't smoke very well. No, I sold them here on one of them I sold live. I do a live video every Saturday night, and I did one on IPSD day on Wednesday, and I sold one of them on IPSD, and the other one I sold after I carved it. I put a short video up showing it, and it sold. We just said there, Jimmy, one of them was $110 or $120, the other one was $140. Daniel, you asked about, I haven't done sandblasting, no. You asked about the colour of the pipe. I don't know at this stage. We'll have to see what it looks like when it's finished. But at the moment it looks like it will probably have to be rusticated, but we'll see. I haven't done sandblasting, and that's something which I really, really would love to get into as well. I think that's my favourite finish. You know, obviously, I'm not comparing it to extreme high grades. These are some of the pipes I've done before, in case any of you haven't seen them. This was a nice piece of briar I got from Alexander Briars. Nice bit of grain, a little sandpit there as well. The plateau. So that was sanded freehand. And this panel I made as well. This one is less than perfect in many ways, but it smokes really well. It's got some nice grain on it actually. LC18, London Calling. Well, look, I mean, somebody else mentioned that you know, one of them when it was going up for sale, you know, 300. But at this stage, I'm happy for that they sell, and we'll see from there. I don't want to be hypocritical. When I first one of the videos that I did a long while back, this meerschaum is actually I've given away in a trade. I'm doing a trade with Peace Piper with Nathaniel. This is a Levant meerschaum 9mm, which I've smoked a few times, and that's about it. So that's going off to Nathaniel. But if you want to see a nice meerschaum, some of you have seen already. This is the Pipe Club of London from 2018 club pipe. That's the PCOL Pipe Club of London logo being carved into the pipe. Homestead, I wouldn't say that I'm looking to quit my day job. I do spread myself quite thin. I do quite a few bits and pieces, but the main thing that I do is photography. And at this stage, I'm not looking to quit anything. At this stage, maybe long term, maybe if I get to a stage when I want to semi-retire or retire, and that's why I'm doing it now, so that I get enough time, you know, hopefully, please God, I'll have a few years under my belt before I even have to think about that. And in those few years, I'd like to slowly turn out pipes at my own pace, develop my skill, hone my skill, so that when it comes to it, and I do want to rely on it for some income, that I'll, you know, have the necessary skills to do that. So it's really not about making a fortune out of it, certainly not at this stage. And when I first started buying pipes, I noticed a few new carvers, especially in the States, and no disrespect to the States, people in the States, but people would come on the scene, charge say $120 for a pipe, and they'd turn out a nice pipe, and I'd go back to them 6 months later for, say, for another pipe, and they were at $300, which is fine, you know, if they've got the market, that's absolutely fine, but it kind of irked me at the time. So I don't want to do that immediately, you know. I've chucked out a few pipes and then start charging silly money, you know. Which pipe are you talking about? Mastro de Palio. It's not a pot though. Well, it's not 9mm, so unless I get it converted, I can't really smoke it. See, what I need to develop is my skills in, see that, obviously that can't be turned on the lathe. To get on a bent pipe, to get a really nice round shape by hand, I think that's a real skill. Northern Briars pot. I don't think I have one. Northern Briars, I have this Zulu, and I have the Quebec, which you've seen before. That's the Quebec. Yeah, the junction is always the key, and when I was carving the pipe earlier, I tried to go as close as possible to the bowl with a shank, so that I could have as little as possible that I needed to do on that junction. How many pipes? I haven't done a count recently. Pipes that I smoke reasonably regularly. There's probably about 30 pipes which are reasonably regularly smoked, and there's probably another 30 or so in drawers around and about. Maybe a little bit more. I haven't got a huge collection, and if my collection gets too big, I generally separate myself from some of them. Generally speaking, with a few exceptions, I don't collect pipes. Pipes have to have a reasonable chance of being smoked. Otherwise, I'll sell it or give it. What pipe do I have that I hate the most? I don't have a single pipe that I hate. You could ask, what do I smoke the least? At the moment, that's going to be a mortar pipe. It's a relatively new pipe from Moretti, but I haven't got a decent smoke out of it yet. I have to break it in. The taste in it is just not good. It's a very nice pipe, Moretti. Beautiful sort of grey mortar. Lovely grain on it, as you do get with mortars, but he's just made the best of it, really. But at the moment, it's just, I'm not smoking it because I don't enjoy smoking it. But I'll have to persist, really. Maybe I'll leave it out on the tray, it might get smoked. No, this is a heat shrink, a cable heat shrink I put on here because I don't like acrylic. Yeah, when I'm sanding, I don't smoke because there's too much dust flying around, and I'll usually have a face mask on anyway, so that I'm not breathing this stuff in. I don't have an extraction system yet. I do have a vacuum which I can attach to my sander, but obviously I can't attach that to the lathe. I have looked into sort of trying to get near to the lathe, but that really requires some strong suction, which my vacuum cleaner won't do. But at the moment I can connect it up to my sander and also to my bandsaw. Those two items I can connect. No weddings this weekend. My wife has it in her head that we're going to Windsor tomorrow. It's a Moretti pipe, yeah. The mortar pipe is a Moretti pipe. I did try Bengal slices a long time ago, but I haven't smoked it for a long while. It was okay, but it's, you know, a long time before my tastes matured, really. So, I don't know, it would be interesting to try it again, I guess, but I'm not that fussed. I've gone past the stage now where I've just got to try a particular blend. I've got a really good selection of tobacco, and any genre of tobacco that I want to try, I can drop into the blend that I've got. The Nirrup is a lovely pipe. Nice thick walls. It hangs beautifully, this one. The balance on this one is phenomenal. The only drawback of a shorter stemmed pipe is that if you smoke it to your cadence is too high, you're going to get warm smoke in your mouth. But other than that, it's a great little pipe. It just hangs beautifully. The balance on it is fantastic. Well, the shortness of the smoke is dependent on the bowl size, and the bowl size on this is fairly standard. You could get as longer a smoke on this one as you would with any other. It really depends on the size of the chamber. And this one's actually got a fairly sizable bowl, so well, in terms of balance, you know, you can get some. I've had pipes before where the bowl is so heavy compared to the rest of the. So, for instance, a lot of times, if you take a Prince-shaped pipe, for instance, where you've got quite a slim shank, quite a slender shank, but the bowl could be quite robust. A classical Prince would be quite shallow and quite wide, but sometimes you get, you know, different interpretations, and you can sometimes get a really big bowl, thick walls, but still a very slender stem. So what happens is you end up with a bowl heavy pipe. So even when you hold it in your hand, it doesn't feel right, the balance. But even more importantly is when you have it in your mouth, and if you're a clencher, which I am sometimes, the balance, it's pulling down. You know, the weight of it is pulling down. Whereas if it's reasonably well distributed, obviously there's more meat here than there is here, but first of all, this, because it's short and stubby, so it's close to your face, which means that the center of gravity is really close to you, so it makes it feel a lot lighter. Also, the bend will also help, because that's level, so that will also help. But overall, it really depends. When I say balance, it means how it feels to me in the mouth, and how it feels to hold. And this one has got a great balance to it, despite its shorter dimensions. A full bent pipe is not necessarily heavier. A full bent pipe could actually feel a lot lighter because it's much closer to your face. Heavier and balance are two different things. The overall weight of a pipe is dependent on the weight of the pipe. You can have a bent pipe which is really light, and you can have a bent pipe which is really heavy. You can have a straight pipe which is really light and really heavy. Cask number 4. What type of tobacco is that? At this moment in time, I don't have a classic Churchwarden. I have had, but I don't at the moment. I do have a pipe which should be a Churchwarden, but I had a new stem made for it to make it 9mm, and it came in shorter than I wanted. And at some point, I do want to get a new stem put on it. This is a Paul Menard pipe, which I had converted. Got a huge bowl, and it had a beautiful stem on it, but I sent it into Ian Walker, and this is what he put on it. But really, I could do with having one almost double the length, and that would be a lovely Churchwarden. It's a ginormous bowl. It's unbelievably big bowl. I don't know what I'd smoke in this. Paul Menard makes a great pipe. He's a perfectionist. I've been smoking a pipe for 3.5 years. But I've crammed in a lot in those 3.5 years. I've spent more time, effort, money in those 3 years than perhaps some other people have spent in a longer period in relation to their pipe smoking. And it's been a great journey. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Absolutely, Hector. To each their own. Mm. This is an interesting one. I don't actually know. I know what the make is, but I've never heard of it before. I picked this up on eBay. It's a very nice pipe, Rhodesian, and it's called Cink, C-I-N-K. It says over there. And that's all it says on it. It's 9mm. Got a few fills on it here and there. It is quite a deep shade of brown, yeah. I wouldn't call it red, but maybe in the picture it looks red. Yeah, it's a nice looking pipe. I don't smoke it as often as I should either. It actually smokes pretty well. I'm just trying to see the drill. The drill is very good as well. Hi Gary. Have I tried any newer Ashtons? I have. I did have one which I sold on to somebody on the UK TPC. Absolutely, Hector. So this one, I wish I could convert. I'm thinking of sending it back to Phil Rivara, who made this. This is a calabash pipe. It's got stunning grain in it. It's also got a couple of sand pits here and there. What I was actually thinking myself was to develop an idea whereby you make a new stem which has got a regular sized tenon, actually make a fitting in the stem itself which will take a 9mm filter. I was thinking of developing something along those lines. Yeah, the one I had smoked very, very well, but it's once I went over to 9mm, if you've got the ability to polish a pipe, I'll tell you what I use. I use baby wipes, but you do need to. It does dull the sheen on it, and it will take off a little, perhaps a fraction of the stain. I use baby wipes, and it works fantastic. It just spit and rub, yeah, fine. But I find that baby wipes really just takes it all the way back, and then I just buff it up again and it's fine. I had this one for sale a while back. It didn't sell. This is a Bill Taylor Ashton, a lovely Canadian, really nice condition, but it didn't sell at the time. I had them both on eBay. One of them sold. I had a bent billiard, a Sovereign. I don't have a Castello. I really do like the Castello 55 shape, and I got Moretti to make me one, a 9mm version. That there's a Dunhill there. This is a stubby Dublin, a 9mm, the Cumberland stem, or brindle. It's got a nice sandblast. Some nice ring grain on it. I actually like this tan stain. I think it lets you see more of the pipe, and I would smoke it if it was 9mm. Daniel, no. I will take. I will take almost any of my pipes into the car. I really wouldn't generally take a Meerschaum in the car, and I don't take the bigger, heavier pipes because they're just, harder to sort of trying to drive and steer at the same time. So I want to take a pipe that I can clench reasonably easily for longer periods. But otherwise, I take, I have a little pipe bag which takes 2 pipes, and I change them out almost every day. My opinion on Dunhills. I've had a fair few pass through my hands over the few years. That's the only one that I'm left with at the moment. And funnily enough, that one I bought retail online, and that's the only one I've ever bought new. So one thing I would say, first of all, is that anything beyond, say, £300 or so, I wouldn't spend probably on a Dunhill. Because although they do retain value, they don't retain value that much. Unless you're buying special editions. Special editions, unsmoked, they retain value big time. But the lower end ones, the ones which retail for around $400 or $500, when you want to resell it, it's going to be around the $200 mark, anything from $150 to $250. So this particular Dunhill, the minute I bought it, it depreciated in value. A lot of the pipes that I buy, I have in mind that I want to at least be able to get a decent part of the price back in case I want to sell it on. And that's why I tend to, you'll see a lot of the pipes in my collection are sort of a little bit higher than the average ones. In terms of the quality of the pipe, I do think the briar is good briar. It's lightweight. It seems to be seasoned and aged, and they smoke well. But in terms of the workmanship, I don't think the workmanship is any better than other factory brands, in my humble opinion. I don't think they're any better than, say, a Savinelli or a Stanwell when it comes to the workmanship. But what I will say, and I don't quite have the answer to this as to why, maybe it's the diameter of the drill, I don't know, or I'm not quite sure, or maybe it's how they fan out the bit on the stem, but I do find that the draw on Dunhills is velvety smooth, not too open, not too closed. It's just smack on, and it's got a very smooth draw, very velvety smooth draw. That's what I do find. Petersons I don't like. I'm not a Peterson fan. and that's because I've had bad experience with Petersons. There's a huge amount of people out there who are huge fans of Petersons, and maybe I've just had bad experience, but so far I've not enjoyed the Petersons that I've had, and the only Peterson that I own now is also a club pipe, which is unsmoked. So again, this is a club pipe, 2016 POCL, Pipe Club of London, and this one's also got the logo laser etched on the side, but it's unsmoked and I probably won't ever smoke it. I've got a couple of really nice Ashleys which I haven't smoked yet. This one you've probably seen before. It's a pot with a silver band by Leswood, the Cumberland stem. It's a beautiful pipe, this one. And this is one pipe as well which I absolutely adore, which I haven't smoked yet. This is a Paul Menard pipe. Stunning grain, beautiful stem, but it's not 9mm. This is a corker of a pipe. Oh yeah, it can be converted. I'm just too nervous to get it done. Something might go wrong. It's got a nylon or Teflon tenon there, but there's plenty diameter there. It's drilled absolutely bang smack on. This really would probably be a phenomenal smoker. A few pipes that I've been sitting on which I can't get I don't know if I'll ever get my money back on it. This is a Refberg. Also unsmoked. I bought this when I was in Zurich a couple of years back. Beautiful shape. Nice green. Yeah, but it's just again this one that when I bought it I intended smoking it. At the time I was smoking regular pipes, not 9mm. But it ain't happening. If any particular brand, if you're looking for higher end pipes, yeah, plenty to choose from. I would suggest you go on to Danish Pipe Shop and have a look at the highest prices. They've got pipes there, you know, 15,000 euros. You know, that's higher end pipes. This is it's actually made in Ireland. I think this is a Peterson reject. I bought this on eBay for next to nothing, and I decided to sand off the top to see what lurks beneath. And I'm not sure if that's just a little bit of plateau or if it's been filled, but it's got a little bit of a sandblast, and it says on it made in the Republic of Ireland. I've never smoked it. It's I've promised it to somebody. I've promised it to Pipe Grump. So when I get to do my next shipping, it's going off to Josh Pipe Grump. Hector, you are a card. It's not hard to get tobacco. There's plenty of websites that sell tobacco, and there's a fair few shops still, although it's a dwindling number. But the selection that we can get is quite limited. Obviously we can get all the Samuel Gowiths and the Germains and things like that, and we can get Peterson, some of the McBarons. Actually, I did go to Wix, and I started trying to put together a website, but it was just, and then it didn't work out. It was too much hassle. So every so often I do a video on YouTube with the pipes that I have for sale, and it's done reasonably well. The last one I did didn't do well at all, but previous sale videos did okay. In terms of the tobaccos here, they are quite expensive. They're not mad expensive like, for instance, in Canada. A 50 gram, or what you'd call 1.4 or 1.5 ounces or 1.7 ounces, a standard tin, costs here roughly £15, so nearly $20. Andy, where are you? Are you here in the UK? $54.90. Where are you, Daniel? You in Canada? In Kent. I think I've asked you that before. You know what my memory's like. Canada, yeah, well that sucks. I know Canada's ridiculous. What is that in US dollars? Homestead, does the name on your channel indicate what you do for a living? So, I probably will get some of the Sheraton blends I do have the rolls already, which is quite nice. I enjoyed the Royal Yacht match blend, and the Elizabethan one was also quite good. But as I say, I've got an abundance of tobacco. I really don't need to chase after any particular blends. I don't know how long Sheraton will last, whether it will be a long-term thing or not. I hope it will. I hope it will be. Right. Okay, cool. Well, you certainly seem to have a lot of knowledge when it comes to wood turning anyway. Do you sell your stuff or you only give away? My number one pipe for this year so far? That's a good question. And well, I put up a video not long ago about my top 5. It's really hard to say a number one pipe. But if I have to pick one at the moment, it's for sentimental reasons, and that's this one here. It's because I carved it myself. It also smokes very, very well, and it's kind of got the same dimensions as this, and it has the same kind of balance to it, and it's really light. Despite the size of the briar, it's really lightweight. It smokes very well. Alright people, it's 20 to 5 AM and I need to get some bed. Let's get some sleep. So thanks very much for joining me for the second time in calling. Homestead, I can't thank you enough. Thank you again for all your assistance. It was invaluable. But I have to say goodnight. Thank you for joining. Thank you Elwood, thank you Jimmy, thank you Daniel, thank you Homestead once again, and Andy, and everybody else that joined. Thank you very much. Quaker, Hector, good morning. Scott Free, thank you very much, and I will catch you on the next one.